Hi everybody, this video is mainly about replacing the fan resistor and replacing it with a PCM controller which gives continuous control over the in-cab fan. But before we start, I wanted to try and save you guys some money. This is a Nissan turbo pickup, 2.5 litre. I'm in Thailand, it's pretty hot. Here is a battery, which when you buy it, is Panasonic. It says something like it's sealed or something. There's a label on the top, and the label covers all these filling points. So because the label's over the filling points, you're actually led in your mind to believe that, oh no, this is going to last forever, and I don't need to fill it. It's gel-based or something. But that's simply not the case. In this high temperature, the battery slowly dries out, and of course when that happens it can sulfate and it won't be any use anymore. And don't try recovering it with all sorts of clever smart devices, because they just basically don't work. I tried everything, acid, everything. So what you don't know is that, like in the corner, there is a little porthole, little connector, and in that there is a floating, I suppose, specific gravity meter of some description, and that goes from one color to another. So when it's red, basically you're dead. It means, well, I don't think it actually measures specific gravity. I think it just measures liquid level. But anyway, when it's red, you're dead, and when it's blue or green, whatever, you're okay. So after about 1 or 2 years, and this climate, every year is a good idea, maybe 6 months for a checkup. What you do is you just look down the hole, and you can see the color in there. If that's gone red, you urgently need to get some distilled water, and how I make distilled water is to use the output of an air conditioning unit, because that's pretty much distilled anyway. It's usually quite good. So the same applies to the GS batteries in Thailand. I think they're GS. I personally don't use GS batteries because I've had a lot of problems with them. But my wife's car here has got a GS in it, and again you've got an indicator, and here we have the label stuck over the filler points, and you can feel them if you press down in there. So after some time with this GS battery, we'll be probably filling it up, and I might do a clip for that, but you don't really need to know much about that. So here we have a right-hand drive Nissan Navara, which is very standard in Thailand. It's a robust truck with, I think you call it leaf spring suspension at the back. We use it for building work. And some time ago, the fan in the cab started to make squealing noises at the lower speeds. And in fact, it started to fail at the lower speeds. So we left it until it completely failed. I then got into it because I didn't really want to actually let anybody else get at it, because when we bought this truck second-hand, nobody had put any anti-corrosion liquid in the water, in the radiator water, and they'd refilled it. There was rust in it. The turbo blew up. It cost me 50,000 baht, which is about $700 or $800 to get a new one. They don't do exchanges and all that kind of stuff. The oil was terrible. So when you buy a second-hand car in Thailand, I'm just saying, you really don't want to do it by remote control like I did. So my staff really screwed up. So basically, coming on to the fan, well, there's a compartment here for a glove compartment. There's some other stuff and bits and pieces that you pull out. It's not that difficult to get into. What I was doing was I was kind of thinking, well, where does the supply come in from? Because I want to replace the fan resistor. So where is this fan resistor? So I started thinking, is it behind here? Is it behind the panel? Is the panel got a bunch of resistors on it? Because they would need some kind of drop down to change the speed of the fan. So after a bit of inspection and fooling around, I discovered that hidden sort of way up there inside, at the end of this multi-way cable, was the fan resistor. And I put a jumper in there for now, and I'll tell you why about that in a minute. So let's go and have a look at the fan resistor. This is the hidden part that needs replacing, and today we're going to upgrade it. So here it is. Here is the, I guess, Nissan standard fan resistor with an edge connector in there for the Molex. Someone's already repaired it with a very badly soldered lump of wire. It's just coming out of focus. And this thing is basically toast, completely open circuit. Initially, I got from a company called Lazada in Thailand a 20 watt PWM unit with a rotary control on it. Some of them you can buy with flying leads, which makes life easier if you don't want to take the variable resistor off and put it on the end of a lead. So I plunked this thing in, and I'll show you how to do it in a minute because it's quite easy. Plus and minus from the power, plus and minus to the fan. It worked fine, except that it heated up because 20 watts wasn't enough to actually deal with the current that's in it going through it. So that one was a no-show. I'm going to use it for another project. So coming on to my particular problem, I then got on Lazada again and bought myself, I think, 120, 150 baht, which is less than $10, I think. A pretty good 40 watt unit, same connections, and this has got thick PCB tracks underneath it, a lot of snubber diodes or whatever they are, or transistors, and a lot of heat sinks. So running this, I won't demonstrate the heat side of it, but I'll run it in a minute on the power. Running this, it doesn't seem to heat up over long periods at different settings. With pulse width kind of modulation, PCM or whatever you call it, I'll put that in the right. I'll put the right stuff in the title. The actual motor switched on and off over a different period, and effectively that speeds up and slows down the motor. So originally the motor fed directly from this wiring harness, which I've split off with two chock block connectors. Okay, so it went straight in there. So I pick up power on that. You've got to use thick cable. I haven't got too thick cable here, but I'm going to replace that in a minute. You've got to use thick cable because there's quite a lot of current on this. I don't know how many amps, but quite a lot, more than 12 amps at certain conditions. So this then feeds the motor from the clicky rotary control, the clunky thing. So I'll leave that in the off position. So you work out your own wiring. You then remove the resistor, and here you can see, if I hold it up for some time, here you can see where I put the jumper to get at least one bit of connection between the working contacts in the rotary switch. So what I've selected is I'm going to have, when you switch it to position 1, it makes this live. You don't do anything else after that. The aircon comes on, and also the power finally arrives to the motor. In fact, the actual positive is on all the time, and this switching arrangement is in the negative return lead. So here's the unit installed temporarily. For putting it somewhere, I'm going to put it. It comes in a little black box, which I haven't got in here, but I've got a little black box, and that is going to go probably in there, or I'm going to take the control out and drill a hole and put it in there. So putting it in is up to you. Now, I want to move on to the motor, because this was interesting. The motor is seated here at the end of where my hand is. So you've got the compartment, you've got the heat exchanger and all that sort of stuff for the aircon. And down here, you've got the motor. And you can see it. There's 3 screws you're going to need to be a contortionist to get in there and get them out there, Torx screws. Drop the motor out after removing the connector. Drop the motor out and give it a good maintenance. Check that the brushes are not worn out completely. Mine has been in service for about 8 years and the brushes were not worn out. I was quite surprised. However, at the base of the motor, and this may be common to a lot of air conditioning units, the base of the motor is basically a pool, and it fills with water. No doubt it can fill with water in a variety of mechanisms. The main one, me being pressure washing the car. When I get drunk, I tend to go and pressure wash everything, which is not a very good thing. But it's probably gone back through the vent hole and gotten down into the motor. and that's not good. So what I did is I put a small drain hole at the bottom of that when I reassembled it, and I sprayed silicone in it. I put some oil on the bearings. I checked the bearings all right. I sort of washed it and dried it out in the very, very hot sunshine and did a whole load of maintenance on it. So it runs pretty well now. So I never had to replace the motor, which would have cost about $20–30, maybe more. In Thailand, things sometimes are very cheap or very expensive. So this is going in on the end of some long cables, which are going to be thick, as I said before. And basically that's it. So what I do is I clamber around and start the car up, and hopefully if it's out of gear it won't crash into the wall. Whoa, dudes. Okay, beep, beep, beep. Right, running it. Nice. Battery's good. Okay, so first of all I switch that to position 1, and that brings up the aircon. I'm going to figure out a way of having aircon selective on and off. At the moment I haven't done it. Maybe you guys can figure that out yourself. Now you can see the little unit has no light, so I switch the switch. The clicky switch actually brings up a light, and this is the lowest position on the potentiometer. Now I'm going to increase it, and you can hear it running. It's very, very good, very stable, and very smooth control from max down to minimum. So there we have it. This PWM, PCM, whatever they call it, tiny little unit with a 40-watt capability is running extra cool. Only one snubber gets a bit hot, I guess. There's a lot of back EMF from a motor when you switch it like that. But I've run this for 4 or 5 hours, no problem at all. I'm going to put it into service and give it back to my staff soon, and they'll be very happy, and they'll probably buy me a beer. So what else to show you? Not a lot. It's a nice day, nice weather. We've had a lot of rain recently. Yep. So that's about it, I guess. Yeah, it's 29 in here. So C9 over 5 add 32 makes that, what, 100 or something stupid? Car's running all right. I'm gonna put that back in. Nice mill. Had to replace all the vacuum pipes in it. Been really abused, but it's actually really in good shape. In the UK we got Audis, and we have high mileage Audis. So I hope this clip gives you some idea about how simple it is to replace the 4-speed control for your aircon in the cab fan. Replace it with a continuously variable control. Not a lot of wiring, just take it steady. Get your test meter out, make sure things are plus and minus the right way around, and good luck. Can't really see me, but I mean, good luck. And visit us in Thailand, it's great. Bye.